Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Wednesday's marathon. And today it is the second part of the little mini series of shows we're doing featuring Paul Rogers. So we have reached Bad Company. Bad Company is a English super rock group. It was formed in Albury, Surrey in 1973 by Paul Rogers, obviously from Free, and guitarist Mick Ralphs from Mott the Hoople. And then there's Simon Kirk, also from Free, on the drums. And then they added Boz Borrell, who was with King Crimson. So they've had not many people have been in the band. I think a couple of bass players and a couple of more singers. So it's not been a bad, steady lineup. Obviously they're now, apart from obviously Boz, the rest of them got back together later on in life. They released 12 studio albums in all, and we're going to rank a lot of them. Even the ones that Paul wasn't involved with, but it's because it's Bad Company. You know, all the albums deserve a look at. So, without further ado, let's get cracking. And coming in at number 12 is the most current studio album, released in 1996, Stories Told and Untold. Okay, this album features some new songs and some rearranged recordings of some greatest hits in more of an Americana-inspired style. Yeah. This lineup was Robert Hart on vocals, Mick Ralphs on lead guitar, Dave Cowell on guitar, Rick Wills on the bass, and Simon Kirk on the drums. Okay, first track on the album, One on One. This is a new song. Really good song. Great riffs. Not a bad track actually. It goes back to the glory days of Bad Company. It's in that style. Pretty good. Okay, next track is a remake of a great track called Oh Atlanta, but unfortunately I don't like this version at all. Give me the original any day of the week. It's not very good at all. You're Never Alone. This is just bog standard AOR, I'm afraid. Nothing spectacular. I still believe in you. It's alright, I suppose. Not very Bad Company as far as I'm concerned. Then we get Ready for Love. I don't like this version either. Why do they have to ruin their classics? I don't know. Waiting on Love, not my cup of tea at all. And then probably the worst version of I Can't Get Enough that I've ever heard. I've heard better covers by other bands. I don't like it at all. Is That All There Is to Love? Quite a nice song actually. Very, very nice lyrics. Not bad at all. Love So Strong. It's a nice little rocker actually. Nothing wrong with that one. Silver, Blue and Gold. Probably one of the better covers they've done on this. Really sticks sort to the original sound, so it's not too bad. Then we get my favourite track on the album, Downpour in Cairo. This is a bit of a cowboy style song. Best one on the album, best art song on the album. Mick Ralph's guitar work on this is really, really good. Excellent track. And then we get Shooting Star. Oh, it's not too bad. not a patch on the original, of course. Simple Man again. It's not too bad, but it's not Paul Rogers singing it, is it? I just can't get into that. And Weep No More. Oh, it's not too bad, I suppose. It's pleasant enough to listen. This album, pretty mixed. Some of the covers of their own songs are just not up to it. Some of the newer songs, there's one or two that are pretty good, but I thought this album was not. It was pretty unnecessary. Probably maybe a contractual thing, but it's not very inspiring. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 4.5 out of 5. Okay, then coming in at number 11 is the 7th studio album, released in 1986, Fame and Fortune. It was the first release of the reformed band with Mick Rouse, Simon Kirk on drums, and they had the addition of Brian Howell, who was with Ted Nugent's band, and they had a sessional bass player called Steve Bryce. Now I saw them in '87. They supported Deep Purple. I mean, the gig was pretty good. I mean, they played all the classics and a few off this album, but there was a very good gig actually. Blood Comely and Deep Purple, not a bad lineup, was it? Okay, so first track on here, Burning Up. A typical 1980s rock track, but is pretty pleasant to the ear. This Love, nice guitars from Mick on this, very, very good. And then all of a sudden you get that horrible sounding keyboard from the 80s. And the sax is just not very good either. Fame and Fortune, the title track. Nice little track, some nice guitar riffs. Simon Kirk's drums, though, I don't know what they've done to it, it just doesn't sound right. I think they put it through that horrible 80s sounding dirge that came out. That Girl, again, just one of them bog standard, badly produced 80s rock tracks. Just doesn't do nothing for me. Tell It Like It Is isn't too bad. Great rock track from the band. Brian sounds pretty good. He's not a bad singer. Just hark back to the good old days of Bad Company though, that one. Not a bad track at all. Long Walk. Yeah, take a long walk off a cliff, please. It's just that mediocre clack trap from the 80s. Hold On To My Heart. Just too commercial. That horrible whiny saxophone sound they had from the 80s that appeared on every album that had a saxophone on it. No. Valerie, oh dear, not the best track. When We Made Love, as you know, I'm not a great lover of 1980s rock music, so it's just too clean. End of story. If I'm Sleeping, now that had some promise, but then it just let me down with that awful keyboard sound. I mean, up until I started doing this ranking, I'd never really heard any of the stuff past the last Paul Rogers, so this was all new to me, and there's some really bad albums that I'm not particularly fond of, and this is one of them. Just churned out 80s rubbish. Wasn't the great comeback that everyone expected. It just seems the first tracks were good, and then as the album went on, it gradually got worse. But I'll give it an RTO ranking of 5.5, purely for some of the tracks at the beginning of the album are pretty solid. Okay, coming in at number 10 then. It's the 9th album, released in 1990. This is the third album that featured Brian Howell on vocals. It's got Mick Ralphs again on guitar, Terry Thomas on guitar and keyboards, Felix Krish on the bass guitar, and Simon Kirk playing the drums. First track, title track, Holy Water. This is quite a gutsy track. Great opening riff from Mick Ralphs. Very, very Bad Company sound, and it's pretty good. Oh, my throat today, it's really crocking. I hope I'm not getting a cold. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, next track, Walk Through Fire. It's okay, it's listenable. I didn't mind listening to it, but it doesn't stand out for me. Okay, the next track, Stranger Stranger. Now, I had heard this back in the day. Remember when you used to buy Kerrang and classic rock album magazines? You'd get either a cassette on it or one of them flexy flimsy disc things. And what I used to do, if I liked something off of flimsy, I used to just record it. I used to play it and record it. And one of the tracks I got once was Stranger Stranger by Bad Company. And I actually like this track. I've always liked this track. It's got a great driving bassy blues thing. Mick Ralphs is terrific, and Brian Howell sounds really good on it. So it's my favourite track on the album. And I'd already heard this, but I hadn't heard any of the other album. If you need somebody, this had potential. I was listening to it and oh dear, it let me down, fizzled out. Fearless, solid track, great guitar work from Mick Ralphs. Lay Your Love on Me starts off well. I thought, oh, again, and then it goes into that awful commercial sounding dribble that annoys me. Boys Cry Tough, not a bad track. Great vocal from Brian Howell, and good solid guitar work and drums, very, very good. Within Your Heartbeat, another good song, great little rocker, and one of the better songs off this album. I Don't Care. Great riffs, great drumming, awful backing vocals. Oh, typical 80s. I mean, these guys could have sung for Wham, whoever done it. It just doesn't fit on a rock album. Horrible backing vocals on a pretty decent track though. Never Too Late. It's not a bad track. Got a great bass line in it. So it's not too bad. Mick Ralphs plays some good guitars on this. Dead of the Night, good track. Harks back to the good old days. So now and again you get a little gem on these later albums, and that's one of them. Can't Live Without You. Worst track on the album. I think it's the worst thing they ever put onto vinyl. Not very good. 100 Miles, classic sounding track. I do like that one. This album isn't too bad. Say 50% of it is good and 50% of it is just 80s dirge. But for the tracks that are good, I'll give it an RTO ranking of 5.8. Okay, coming in at number 9, 10th album, 1992. Here Comes Trouble. This was the last album to feature Brian Howell as lead vocalist. Some really good tracks on this. Some really good tracks. The lineup was Brian Howell on vocals and saxophone, Mick Ralphs on the guitars, Felix Krish on bass, Simon Kirk on the drums as ever. How about that? Great track. Nice, crisp drums from Simon Kirk. And the bass line, very similar to something that Boz would do. Very, very good track. Stranger Than Fiction. when you put this on, you actually know it's Bad Company. It's got that classic sound that you knew it was Bad Company. Very, very good track. Title track, Here Comes Trouble. Love this track. Solid riffs from Mick. Solid thumping drums from Simon. And a great vocal from Brian. Fantastic track. My favourite on the album. This could be the one. Another solid track. Solid riffs. Solid sound. Good track. Both feet in the water. Oh, killer riff. Killer drums as well. And a fantastic guitar solo from Mick Ralphs. Take This Town, another good track, really good track, as I said, on this album, and that's one of them. What About You? Radio friendly, not for me at all. Little Angel, again, it's just commercial rock, trying to get a hit single. This didn't work. Don't like it at all. Hold On To My Heart. This has got some great guitar work from Mick Ralphs. Drumming from Simon Kirk, as ever. Solid. My Only One. I think this is a bit of a filler. We need one more track for the album. Oh, this old rubbish will do. I'm sorry. Not for me. But as you know, until a few weeks ago, I hadn't listened to any of the post Paul Rodgers albums. So this has been a real eye opener. But apart from the last 3-4 tracks on this, I have actually added this to my collection now because of the tracks at the beginning of the album. They are really, really good. The first 6 tracks on it are superb. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in number 8 is the 8th album, released in 1988. And this time it was the second with Brian Howell, and Steve Price, who was sessioned on the first one, actually gets credited as the bass player on this one. So we've got Brian Howell, Mick Ralphs, Terry Thomas, Steve Price and Simon Kirk. First track, One Night. This is a proper Bad Company track, quite honest. Great vocals from Brian Howell. Really got into the groove. Superb track. Shake It Up. Another classic riff from Mick Ralphs at the start. He is a very good guitar player. Simon Kirk, as ever, Tight As You Like, very, very good track. No Smoke Without Fire. Oh, it's okay, it's got a nice riff. Bad Man, just one of them bog standard 80 tracks. Dangerous Age, probably one of my favourite post Paul Rodgers tracks. It's got some great drumming, great rock track, really, really like it. Dirty Boy, really good track, great guitar work from Mick again, and Brian's vocal. I mean, Brian Howell is a very good vocalist, and now and again he really pulls one out of the hat. He did on that one. Rock of America, it's alright, not the best track on the album. Something About You, very typical 80s ballad, not for me. The Way It Goes, solid, very solid track. Love Attack, great guitar solo on here from Mick Ralphs, absolutely screaming. Excited, solid track, great one to end an album with, very, very good. I'd say this is the best album that Brian Hall did with Bad Company. It's got signs of the old style coming in, and it is a proper rock album. If you took the name away, Bad Company, and put something else to it, I'd still like it. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay then, coming in at number 7. Company of Strangers, first album with a new singer, Robert Hart. All I'll say on this one is I think it's probably the best album they did without Paul Rodgers, without a doubt. Fantastic guitar work on this one. I haven't even put the year it come out. Oh dear. I'll pop it in the thing as it comes up along the screen with the numbers and all that. First track, Company of Strangers. This is a terrific song. Just hard rock at its best. Goes to the glory days of Bad Company. And Robert Hart is the closest you're going to get to Paul Rodgers. Second track, Clearwater Highway. Great solid driving bass line in this, and Robert Hart sounds so much like Paul Rodgers on this one. It's alright, there's some funny noises coming from my dog. He makes more strange noises than me. Okay, track 3 on the album is Judas My Brother. Pretty solid track. Sounds so much like the old stuff as well. Brilliant track. Little Martha. Solid track. Except it's written by Kim Carnes. What's she doing on this album? But there you go. Gimme Gimme. My favourite track on the album. Bluesy. Great vocal performance from Robert Hart. Right out the top drawer, this one. Where I Belong. Again, fantastic track. Good rocker. Down, Down, Down. Again, these good rock songs just kept coming on this album. Really, really good track. Abandoned and Alone, stunning guitar work, Nick Ralphs. Absolutely kills it with the solo. Down and Dirty. Again, great solo. Classic sound. It is classic sound in Bad Company. You sometimes forget that it isn't Paul Rodgers singing on it. Pretty Woman. Great track. And this one you could actually imagine Paul Rodgers singing. That's how much I like it. You're the Only Reason, solid as you like. Dance with the Devil. I think this is a modern classic. Brilliant stuff. Loving It Out Loud. Great track. I think it was one of the best tracks that they actually done with this lineup. Absolutely blew it out of the park. Okay, this album is probably the best album without Paul Rodgers, without a doubt. I'd never heard this album till about 2 weeks ago. I've played it about 5 or 6 times. I love it. And I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, that's done with the post Paul Rodgers Bad Company. Very mixed bag. Now we got on to the toughest part, and that was ranking the Paul Rodgers era. Because I like every album. So many classics on these albums. So it was a really hard job to get this sorted. So this is what I've come up with. I know there's going to be people out there that will go, oh no, but you got to remember this is my personal choice, and it's not right, it's not wrong. It's just how I feel. So coming in at number 6, then, is the 4th album, released in 1977, Burnin Sky. Of course, this has got the classic lineup: Paul Rodgers, Mick Ralphs, Simon Kirke and Boz Burrell. Opening track, title track, Burnin Sky. Classic track, love the bass line in this. Boz was the man. Mr. Rodgers, of course, belting out a great track. Really good track, my favourite on the album. Morning Sun, again a classic track, love it. Solid song, straight from the off. Great little guitar textures, nice drumming, great vocal from Paul. Leaving You, bluesy rocker, very free, very brilliant. Like Water, love the guitar, slide guitar on this. Straight out the top drawer, that track. Now we get this little ditty, knapsack. Dum de day, dum de dee, diddle 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 dum de da. It's sort of in the background. I don't know if they were having a bit of a laugh, but it's quite funny. And we went back to the serious stuff. Everything I Need. One of Boz Burrell's even classic bass lines. Fantastic, great track. Heartbeat. The riffs in this are fantastic. Solid drumming and bass playing. What a team they were, Boz and Simon. Great together. Tight. Solid. Peace of Mind. I've never been keen on this track, ever. It's not one of my favourite tracks. I know there's people out there that will love it, but it's not for me. Sorry. Passing Time. This was a bit of a new departure from... It's alright. Sorry about that. Rocky's not having a good day today. He's got the sniffles. Yeah, Passing Time is a little goes away from the Bad Company sound. Pretty solid. Too Bad. Great track. Great sort of sounding from Bad Company on that one. Nothing wrong with that one. Man Needs a Woman. Great opening riff to this track again. Great. Master of Ceremony. Great bass line on this. Terrific track. Okay, this is obviously a classic album, but it's not. As I said, this is like I love all these Paul Rodgers albums, but this is my sort of least favourite. But I still love it, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, coming in at number 5, 5th album, released in 1979, Desolation Angels. I love the cover to this. It's a great cover. First track, Rock and Roll Fantasy. Oh, one of my favourite tracks by Bad Company. Solid bass line again from Boz. Terrific track. Great guitar work as well. Crazy Circles. It's one of these nice little semi-acoustic numbers. The harmonies on this are superb. Great track. Gone, Gone, Gone. Another classic song. Another great bass line from Boz. He did write it, so you're going to get a good bass line. Fantastic track. Simon Kirke's drumming is superb on this track. Evil Wind, solid guitar work from Mick Ralphs. Very, very good track. Early in the Morning. Very, very good track. Lonely for Your Love. Great rocker. Love the sound that this band produced in their rock music. Brilliant. Then we get the proper version of Oh Atlanta. I love the harmonica in this. Fantastic track. When I heard that, it's far, far better than the cover, the other version they did. Take the time. Love this. Sounds very Eagles though. Still nothing wrong with that. Then we get the brilliant Rhythm Machine. There's everything about this that comes together on this. The bass line, the drums, the great guitar work, the great vocals. Fantastic track. She Brings Me Love. Great blues in this. Solid track. One of their best blues songs. Another brilliant album. Every track on here is solid. Ranking these albums has been very, very hard. I'll give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 4 is the 6th studio album, Rough Diamonds, from 1982. It was the last album to feature the original lineup. So this is like the most recent album to feature Paul Rodgers on studio work. Opens up with a fantastic Electric Land. Love this track forever. I love the bass line on this, and the guitars are just awesome. Great rocker. Untie the Knots. Bit funky. Sort of starting to change the sound a little bit, but it's just, they do a sterling job on this track. Great bass line from Boz. Nothing on the TV. Great bluesy rocker this is. Love the keyboards in this. Terrific track. Painted Face. Solid as you like. The arrangement to this is very, very similar to Shooting Star, and it's got a great guitar solo. Kick Down. Nice blues track. Cracking solo. Absolutely out the top drawer. Ballad of the Band. It's not my favourite track on the album, but it's listenable. I've got no problems with it, but it's not what I go. It's not the go-to track on the album. Cross Country Boy, another bit of funky, great piano work on this, and then the bass line really drives this track. Old Mexico, quite a little mellow track, great vocal from Paul in this. Downhill Rider, it's not my favourite track on the album. I've never really liked it. And Racetrack, it's pretty mediocre for me. Pretty solid album. This was the second album I brought by Bad Company, first being the compilation 10 from 6. I brought this first because I love the cover because it's got that serrated edge, but it's still a cracking album. There's a couple of tracks that obviously that I'm really not keen on, but it still gets an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, the top 3. Dear oh dear, this was hard work. Again, this was that got shuffled around about 2 or 3 times. So coming in at number 3 is the 3rd album from 1976, The Fantastic Run with the Pack. First track, Live for the Music, one of my favourite opening tracks off an album by the band. Love that opening riff. Great track. Simple Man. This is the best version of it, and it's one of my favourite tracks. And when I heard it on that other album, I was so disappointed. But this is what it's all about. Honey Child, right, this rocker is great. Love the guitar riff, and I love the effects as well. Lots of people love this track, and I'm one of them people. Love Me Somebody, classic love song from the band. Run with the Pack, one of them classics again. I love the bass line in this, along with the drum rolls, and everything's good about this. Definitely in my top 10 songs. Silver, Blue and Gold, I love this. As I said, the remake wasn't too bad, but this is the Dogs Doo-Doos, one of my favourite tracks. Then we get a cover of the Coasters from 1957, Young Blood. Little bit different, but still a great cover. Do You Right By Your Woman. One thing I like about Paul Rodgers, that he writes these songs that are stories, and this is one of them, and I love this. Fantastic song. Sweet Little Sister, some of Mick Ralph's best guitar work. It's got a great little solo on it, fantastic. Fade Away, another one of my favourite songs. It's so moving, it's atmospheric, and some great guitar work from Mick Ralph's. Again, Solid As You Like. Love playing this album. And I give it an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Top 2. These changed a couple of times from 2 and 3. 1 was always going to be 1, but 2 and 3, these are the 2 that I swapped around. But I eventually went with this one for number 2. It's the second album, released in 1975. It's that brilliant Straight Shooter. Opens up with a fantastic track called Good Lovin' Gone Bad. Great rocker. Then we get a proper classic. Feel Like Making Love. I like that guitar start, that little acoustic guitar, and then you come in with that real heavy riff, and the harmonies on this are fantastic. One of my favourite songs. Weep No More, love this song. Pity I just didn't like the cover they did of it. Oh, but it's a great song. One of Simon Kirk's best songs that he wrote. Fantastic song. Then we come to my favourite ever track by Bad Company, Shooting Star. I love this. Great lyrics from Paul Rodgers, telling the perils of being rock and roll. Apparently this is lyrically inspired by drug and alcohol related deaths of his friend Paul Koskoff, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, blah blah blah, and Jim Morrison. It's just a fantastic song. Love it to death. Always have. I remember the first time I ever heard this song. It was obviously not in the day, because I was only a wee nipper and I wouldn't have learned much about it. I heard this, I think first time I heard this was about 1980, and I fell in love with it from that moment. Next track, Deal with the Preacher. Great rocker. Driving bass line, driving drums. Oh, can't get any better really, can we? Wildfire Woman, solid track. Awesome stuff. Anna, love this bluesy rocker. Fantastic. Call on Me, probably got Mick's best guitar solo on it. Brilliant. Well, solid album, one of my favourites, but it just missed out on the top. And I give it an RTO ranking of 9.5. So it's pretty obvious which is number 1. It's the debut album. Came out in 1974. Bad Company. Classic lineup, of course, and it also features one of the best saxophone players in rock music, Mel Collins. When he's played saxophone with some of the best: King Crimson, Camel, the Alan Parsons Project, Climax Blues Band. Fantastic player, and he does add to these tracks. Okay, opens up with the classic Can't Get Enough. Okay, this is played to death, but for once this is one that I don't mind hearing this is a million times. It's such a great song. Rock Steady, driving bass line, and it's another classic song. And it doesn't get any, it just continues. We've got Ready for Love, driving riffs, great bass line, fantastic lyric from Paul, superb. Don't Let Me Down, great atmospheric blues song with a fantastic sax solo from Mel Collins, one of the best in the business. And then you think, oh, they can't get any better on this track, and then Mick Ralph takes over with a top drawer guitar solo. Next track, title track, Bad Company, my favourite on the album. Love the piano on it. I love all the little swirls of cymbals from Simon. Pure brilliance. Love it to death. The Way I Choose, bluesy saxophone on this is brilliant from Mel Collins. Superb track. Moving on, another classic. This album is just full of classic songs. Fantastic. And then we get one of my favourite songs again, Seagull. It's classic, but I just love the simplicity of it. It's a solid track. Okay, why is this number one for me? Well, it contains half of the songs on this album are in my top 10 of Bad Company songs. It's one of the best debut albums from any band of any genre. And I can only give it one ranking, 10 out of 10. It's an album that you just keep going back to. It is to me. It's a mini greatest hits album. Okay then, that's another part of Mr. Rogers' musical career. We've got another one next week. We're going to be looking at the very short career of the firm, but more about that next week. So this is the only show we do on a Wednesday because it takes a long time to get together and edit and all that sort of good stuff. So we'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow we have got Then and Now, and we'll be looking at Queen. Looking at the I know we did featured the classic in the classic album because it won a poll, but we're now going to compare it with the last album, and then we'll look at some of the great Queen albums and tracks. And then tomorrow's album artwork is a little bit different. I was going through articles and looking at stuff for the album artwork thing, and there was an article on there. It said 12 artists that have done album covers. So I looked at them and I thought, oh yeah, so I'm going to rank these 12 album covers. So that's for tomorrow. So enjoy your Wednesday. Hopefully me and Rocky will feel a little bit better tomorrow. We're both suffering today. So I will see you all tomorrow. Take care for now.